I'm super excited. Welcome Shaggy, aka Mr. Boombastic, to VladTV, only diamond selling dancehall artist in music history. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Of course. How is it over there in Miami?
It's wonderful. Great weather, palm trees, tons of traffic, no state tax. High rentals. It's amazing. What's not to like?
It. I was, we were just complimenting your outfit. Love the hat. Love the. Is that a cardigan?
I like that you like it. I thank you very much. It's I'm feeling Mr. Loverish.
That's beautiful, man. Well, you're a legend. I would love to start at the beginning. We just want to, pay you your flowers. Just touch on your life story.
Yes. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your platform, and I'm here to answer whatever question you throw at me, darling. Please be gentle.
I love it. Well, yeah, definitely want to just take us back to being born, Kingston, Jamaica. Man, what are your fondest memories as a kid, just growing up in Jamaica?
I'm from very humble beginnings. I was born in a place called Raytown. Raytown is a special place. It's downtown Kingston. It's right on the water. It's a big fishing village. What's so great about it, it's where the sound systems, if you hear about dancehall and reggae, early dancehall sound systems really developed out of Raytown. They used to have what was known as street dances. And those street dances is where, a lot of these sound systems developed that created the sound of what is known today as toasting, which they would call, as Jamaicans would call it, the DJ music. You know what I mean? Which is really pretty much scatting over reggae beats and dancehall beats on the mic, which is now dancehall.
Definitely. What was the moment you fell in love with music?
I fell in love with the music. There was an artist by the name of Yellow Man.
Okay.
And Yellow Man was a massive. He was an albino guy, and just kind of broke out in the music scene and was, I would say, of my era, the first big major superstar that I saw. And I saw him in concert at a place called Skateland one night, and from that moment on, I'm like, that's what I want to do. This guy. I remember him walking into the dance very late, and he just did his set. He shot a couple of tunes and walked out, and the whole dance walked out with him. I was like, wow. He was charismatic, very quick, at that time, very lyrical, and was just doing something that was new and cutting edge. And I just thought he was the coolest thing.
At that time, when you were a kid at the concert, did you see that in your foreseeable future, that you would one day be that superstar on stage?
No, I didn't think I'd be like this massive superstar or anything like that. But I knew I got bit by the bug at that point, because from that point on, I was just all about music. I just was into music and dancehall and reggae, and early 80s reggae too was, the old John Jalaz productions, was the type of music that I was really into.
Definitely. And I think, you grew up with your grandma.
Yeah.
How was that? And where were your parents?
My grandmother was a Christian woman. She opened me up to a lot of music. On Sunday, she would play all these different styles of music. She would Nat King Cole and, Bing Crosby and, a lot of country, funny enough, Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, and one of her favorite songs was "Islands in the Stream," Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, and Frank Sinatra. Also, a lot of earlier style on Sunday. So in Jamaica, we'd have you cook rice and peas and chicken, and that's what the radio played back in them days. And she was just that type of a person. She really loved music, and was really into that. My mother, she's a single parent from a single parent family, so my mom was really my mom and dad, and she worked at the local newspaper at the time, the Gleaner, and that was it for her. My dad, I didn't really know my dad until I was about, I would say around 13. It was the first time that I really knew him, and I'm pretty cool with my dad these days, and but my grandmother had passed.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Years ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know she was your hero, right?
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. I think Kingston was actually a war zone in the 80s. Political parties were tied to gangs. There would be massive killings around election time. Did you witness anything?
I was in the midst of all of that, It was between the two major party, the JLP and the PNP. The PNP was with Michael Manley, and the JLP was with Edward Seaga. And they led, it was the 1980 election was the most bloody election ever. High crime, death toll was really high. And, it was tough political times, there was shortage of food at the same time too, so yeah, I remember all of that as a kid growing up. If you wear one color, you couldn't be in one particular zone. If you wore another color, you couldn't be in the other zone. So tough times, those times.
Did that affect you at all as a kid? Just seeing how, brutal it was?
It taught me a lot. Taught me not to trust politicians. That's for sure. From an early age, I just had it in my mind to get out of the ghetto. A friend of mine, Josie Whale, said it to me years ago. It says, ghetto means get out. And I always believed that. So I've always strived to get myself out of the ghettos, of the garrisons.
Definitely. I know you moved to New York in 1986. Did the Shaggy name come before or after that?
The Shaggy name was a nickname from when I was in Jamaica, because my hair was really, really shaggy.
Shaggy, yeah.
And they called me Shaggy. It's the Shaggy dog. And then I came to America and kind of got rid of the name because nobody knew me. And then I met one guy who knew me from Jamaica. I said, "Oh, Shaggy," and that was it. Everybody started calling me that again. And I hated the name for a long time until, I was watching, it was this movie that came out where they were talking about, I found out what shag meant in England, and I was like, oh, okay. Then I realized what it was, a shagadelic, baby. You know what I mean? So that became that whole vibe, and you started to realize that in England, shag meant something else. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is the coolest name ever.
That's funny. How was it going to Flatbush, New York at 18? You're fresh adults in Brooklyn.
I mean, it was cool at that time because it was a culture shock coming into Brooklyn. I think the first thing that really locked me out was I went to a laundromat for the first time, and my mom took me there, and I was like, are we really going to wash our clothes here with this many people seeing our drawers? Because you have to, after you wash the drawers, you got to fold your drawers up and shit, and everybody's in there looking at your drawers. In Jamaica, you do laundry in the back of your yard. It's a bit more private, I couldn't believe that you'd fold your clothes in front of people. It was a bit of a culture shock to me. And, and just living in like an apartment style of living in Brooklyn at that time was a bit of a culture shock. But what was good about Brooklyn was it was a melting pot. You had the Trinidadians, you had the Haitians, you had the Dominicans, you had the Panamanians. It was a big cultural melting pot. And I really liked that. I was open to a lot of different cultures in Brooklyn. So Brooklyn's a little changed now. It's more gentrified these days. It's a lot of juice bars and mocha shops.
I love it. How did Cool Herc inspire you?
Cool Herc is an amazing person, man. I met him several times. You know, I was in Jamaica with him the other day.
Oh wow.
He's a guy that really took the cultures of reggae toasting and brought it over to the Bronx, and kind of did the same thing on top of R&B beats, you know, which kind of evolved into what we know today as what is hip hop. Dancehall and reggae culture is that kind of culture. A lot of genres come from it. You know, you look at reggaeton, that really came from El General and this kid called Gringo, who really started it out of Brooklyn. And they used to do really, I think when El General was really who got popularized it by doing dancehall songs over in Spanish. They did those Shot Grammy records, Little Lenny records. Matter of fact, the reggaeton beat, which is Dembow, comes from Shot Grammy record Dembow. There's a gentleman by the name of Carl that used to be at VP Record that started to do. He was the one that was recording El General at the time, and he gave the name to the genre, because they used to call it Spanish reggae, and he said we should name it and call it reggaeton. And throughout the mispronunciation of it, it became reggaeton. So that was the early stages of it, which is now a massive genre.
Right.
All started out of dancehall. You look at what is going on even in Africa now. A lot of it is influenced. The Afrobeat is influenced by dancehall, early dancehall records. We used to play massive stadiums back in the day, even though Africa is such a cultural place. Most of the dominant music then was dancehall for a lot of the younger kids in Kenya and Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria. Dancehall was a big part of it. So it's the art form has given birth to a lot of different genres.
Definitely. And I think your first job was working at a Baskin Robbins. I actually work at Baskin Robbins.
I worked at Baskin Robbins for one day.
Oh.
Literally one day. I put the apron,
What
I put it
happened?
on, I put the little apron on and the little idiot hat. And, I started to serve some ice cream, and then I realized cute girls come and want ice cream, and I'm like, I ain't serving no ice cream.
Oh my God.
That was it. I literally didn't go back. And the guy that did was like, yo, great job. You were so great today. I was like, yeah, see you tomorrow morning. Gave me the time to come back, and I never showed up.
I was going to bond with you over their bomb ice cream, but never mind.
I lasted one day. I'm sorry. I knew it wasn't for me. No.
That's hilarious. All right. So then a year later, I think you were discovered singing in the streets with friends. Can you bring us back to that moment?
No, I wasn't discovered in the street. It was friends. Not at all.
You were discovered while singing in the streets.
No, not at all.
No, just kidding.
They gave you some misinformation. You
took singing lessons.
I know. I went to Erasmus Hall High School, and we used to have lunchrooms where each person would have a clique. So you'd have the Panamanian clique, the Haitian clique, the Jamaican clique, the Puerto Rican clique, and everybody would beat the bench and spit lyrics. And I started doing that because I realized I got attention when I rhymed. And I was freestyle. I look at a girl and talk about her earring, her bag, her shoes, and then I get their number. And I was very popular in the school for that because I rhymed well. And I'd make them very funny. And then right across the other bench over there would be El General, and he'll be doing his spitting in Spanish for his Dominican clique. And then there's this guy by the name of Kingsley that that knew that I was very popular in school, spitting these lyrics at lunchtime, that he brought me over to a sound system called Gibraltar. And where I met this guy called Rossi, who is currently my road manager. And then I started to spit on his sound system. And I was just that good that the first dance I came and spit, everybody was like, who the hell is this guy? And overnight, I was popular within the community. Then I just started doing records with a local producer by the name of Don Juan out of Brooklyn. And I kept going until when the first time I go into one of those dances, everybody was asking, who is this guy? Who is this guy? So overnight, everybody kind of know my name in Brooklyn, and I ran into this guy called Sting International, who was also a big DJ on the radio station. And we started to make some records. And, I did a record called Mampi for a producer by the name of Philip Smart. And that record became my first hit. Incidentally, at the time I was in the military when that record happened. So a lot of people didn't know who I was, but the record was blowing up. And, it wasn't until I got out the military that I did another song called Big Up. And that record also was a massive record within the streets. And I was, doing shows and getting really popular. That kind of crossed over into England and places like that. And then I ended up doing another song now called Oh Carolina. That record blew up and called The Eye of Greensleeve Records. And they put it out. They had major distribution through BMG. At the time, I was touring with another massive superstar called Maxi Priest at the time. And I was doing background for him. So I was kind of learning the trades as I go along with him. And then my record became so massive that now it was going into the British chart. And I went over there and we got our first #1. And then I was signed by Ken Berry at Virgin Records for, at that time, reportedly the highest signing ever in the history of dancehall and reggae. We signed for over £1 million at that time.
Wow. How did that feel?
It was great. It's the first time I had, money of, that nature, I would think. I just figured to myself that if I never made another hit, I was going to open like a shoe store or something like that and buy a house and get it. So I bought a house and moved my mom. And I was like, if I never make another one, this is good. Because I knew people at that time worked a whole lifetime and never made $1 million. So, I did that on this one record. So to me, I was like, okay, I was ahead of the game. But then, it was a 2-album firm. So I had to deliver now by contract. I had to deliver another album. And the next song I wrote was a song called Mr. Boombastic.
Right.
And I put that out and it debuted at #1 in the British chart. First day out, it debuted at #1. And then we ended up selling double platinum on that. And, they gave me another $1 million. So at that point, I was like, okay, I can get used to this,
Right.
Maybe I have a career, so I just kind of went with it.
Fun fact, Big Up is actually Vlad's favorite Shaggy song ever. He would always play it during his DJ set.
Get out of here. Yeah, hey, big club anthem, dancehall club anthem. And it was a massive record.
That's beautiful. Real quick before we get into the music, because I definitely want to touch on your time in the military. You enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 1988, obtained the MOS of 0811. How was that part of your life? Mad respect, because obviously you have to go through a ton of training and whatnot. But what was Shaggy like then, and how was what was
the military prepared me for my journey. I didn't, this journey of music. In being a dancehall artist in 1993, when I had Oh Carolina, I quickly realized that my genre wasn't a major genre, and I had to work 10 times harder than the average genre of music, the average artist in another genre. I realized that I have to work 10 times harder, make records 10 times better, and get 10 times less sleep just to have a level playing field, because, you know, dancehall and reggae was not a mainstream art form. You know, it wasn't a genre that was played on mainstream radio. You got iHeartRadio to this day has over 900 stations, and 0 of those stations are reggae stations. You know, so how do a guy like me get to be on the radio and sell numbers like, you know, NSYNC and Britney Spears or any of these guys when they don't even play the genre? You know, it simply means that I realized I couldn't just be a star. I had to be a superstar. You know, you have to be a star with superhero-like talents and presence and work ethic, you know, just to even get played. So I just made these records that were just so undeniable that radio had to play it because the streets were making noise about them. So they had to. So I never really made records like pop records for pop radio. I just made records, reggae records that I know would work in the street, but they had that crossover appeal. And then those records ended transcending into being pop anthems.
Wow. That's crazy that you perfected your singing voice while you were in the Marine Corps. That's
Yeah, I used to run and sing cadence.
no.
Yeah, so I used to go like, I don't know, but I've been told my CEO wears pantyhose.
Oh my God.
So I would make up these really funny cadences because they would call me out to sing cadences all the time. And
Wow.
I didn't know that was really vocal training, because you're singing from your, you know, from your gut and running for like 4 miles and singing and stuff like that.
That's beautiful. Real quick, did you see any battle during Desert Storm?
I was in the middle of, yes, in the first Gulf War. We were in Saudi Arabia, and we advanced into Iraq. Throughout that time, I was out there for about 7 months, and you know, we were in the midst of it. You know, the majority of the war kind of took place within a 3 to 4 year period of heavy bombing. We were heavily involved in that. But yeah, it was really just great to come back home with all my limbs.
Definitely. Can't even imagine. And then how was it? I guess, yeah, you mentioned Big Up, and then your next single. Well, how was it releasing Pure Pleasure? That was your first album.
Pure Pleasure was cool, man. You know, it had a couple of cuts that was released, like Big Up and Mompi, a couple of these records, but it was really nice to be in studio making a body of work this time, you know. And I had great people to guide me. At that time, I had Robert Livingston was managing me, and you know, Stig International was the producer at that time, and you know, he was a DJ. So you know, I had people who just, you know, would steer me. Philip Smart, a couple other people who kind of steered me in cultivating the album in the way it should be.
Definitely. And then you released Original Doberman, your second album.
Well, Original Doberman was actually the first album that was on Don Juan's label, which was really a compilation of some old stuff that I had that he put out. And then Pure Pleasure was actually my first full-length album.
Oh, okay. Got it. How was it getting your first, you know, $1 million deal? Was it, you know, a lot of people blow their first bag. Did you have any crazy spends?
Nah, there wasn't any spend. I mean, I bought myself a nice car. You know, I think I bought a BMW at the time, but it was a used one. I didn't buy it brand new. You know, I mean, the thing with BMWs, the shape is changed only every 10 years, and then you see the shape of the BMW change. So you know, you could have like an older BMW, as long as you change like the lights and stuff like that. and put like the rims in, and you still look fly, even though it's might be a 5-year-old car, a 7-year-old car. You still look dope in it. So I think that's what probably the biggest spend. And then I bought my home. I bought a home, and that would be the biggest spend I've done. But didn't splurge on anything really crazy.
Yeah. In 1994, you became a father. Shout out to Robb Banks.
Yes.
How was that? That's a pivotal moment in your life for sure.
It was dope because at that point, my life had a purpose. Because you weren't just living for yourself or making music for yourself anymore, or doing, things really got real at that time because my home, he had moved into my house, and now you realize you're living not just for yourself. And he was a bundle of joy. He was really, a special kid because everybody was just happy he was around. And he's still, a very good dude today. I mean, and great kid to be around, great person to be around.
I was gonna ask, what is your relationship with him, and how was it seeing him enter the music?
Oh, we're good. We're good. I speak to him almost every day. I actually see him almost every day when we're not respectively touring. He's very dedicated to music, and what I really like about him is that he's a genuine music person. He's about the art of the music. He's not about the gimmick of it. I really like that. I mean, he doesn't engage into too much social media and too much of that madness. And, even though he probably should, because that's the way music is going today. But, he's having a hard time doing that because he's really about music. I don't think I could find somebody that does studio more than I did, and he does. It's constant with this guy. He's constantly in the studio, back to back every single night, and just making music. I think he just recently dropped his Falcone album.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest part they've had about that album is choosing the songs to be on it, because I think they probably had to go through, I would imagine, maybe about close to 100 songs to choose from, because at the rate that he was making these music. And, he has a great team and good clique around them, great set of producers, and, they do their thing. It's nice to just watch them do their thing, and see their creative process.
Definitely. Just like growing up, was he always in the studio with you? Was he around the lifestyle? Did he see you perform on the road?
I mean, he'd see us go to the studio here and there, but he wasn't totally like involved in it or anything like that. Actually, I didn't know he was rapping until way afterwards, when it was brought to my attention. And by that time he had already had a large following, because he was living in Broward at the time, and I was in New York, and I was always touring. I'd come in and see him back and forth, but they kept it really good from me. So I didn't know until after a while when it finally hit my radar. And at that time he had already had a large following, and so clearly he was really good at what he does, and while he had that following.
Definitely. I love it. And then you mentioned Boombastic in 1995. Probably your biggest song, I would say, right? That single was huge. Did you anticipate?
Yeah, the biggest song at that time. I would say, if I have to say which is my biggest song to date, it would still have to be "It Wasn't Me."
Right.
Yeah, that would be the massive seller at this day, because it still goes. It doesn't stop.
Did you anticipate that? How was it creating that? And then how was it, being in the popular Levi's commercial?
As far as the Levi's is concerned, when I did, in doing certain songs, like I did Boombastic, when you make something special. Like when I did that, when I wrote that song, I knew it was something special. The hard part is trying to convince people that it's special, like record executives or management at the time, because it's so different. People like to cookie cut. So anything that's cookie cuts, it's easy for them to see it because it worked before. But if you're going something that's outside, doing something outside the box, something that's not, is a little against the grain, you're gonna always have naysayers and people like, well, I don't know, I don't think that one, because they overthink things. And I just kind of do things on feel. I'm allergic to boredom, so I want to do something that is totally stimulating, and I knew it was something special. The same thing when I wrote It Wasn't Me, I just knew it was something special. It's just convincing people that it was special. That was the hard part.
Definitely. How did it feel winning a Grammy for Best Reggae Album for Boombastic?
I mean, it was great. I kind of took it for granted because I kind of knew I was going to win when I was nominated. I was like, I was the shit. I'm the hottest around at that time. Man. And I won, and it just was like, okay, I won a Grammy. There's 10 more of those. And then I didn't get one for years afterwards. I was nominated like 5 times after that. Just went there every year and just didn't win. And until recently when we did 44876 with Sting.
Right.
And, finally we won again. I was like, and it's always hard when you're at these, award shows and hoping that you're going to win and then you go home without winning. It's like, fuck. We just did that recently with Spice and, we're really pumped up. We had a big year with her. Godong Day is still one of the biggest songs. And, Soulja won. Just out of nowhere. So it was just like, oh my God. So, it's always tough. But, my grandmother always says, you do things for the reward, not the award. Because you can spend the reward. The award just collect dust.
Right. I mean, being nominated is a win in itself.
Yeah, that's what they say. I don't believe that shit. No, fuck that. I'd rather win.
Once you win,
I want
I'm
something
sure.
gold to take home. God damn it.
After that, 1999, you were dropped by Virgin. Why is that? What happened there?
Because I'm dancehall and reggae, and the minute you don't have one, they think you're done. I had hits straight up until that one album, and it was just luck. The day my single was released was the very same day that Princess Dinah died. And
Wow.
The radios just stopped playing everything at that point. And the only record was played at that point was Candle in the Wind by Elton John on every station. And it impacted her first week sales. And the record company just didn't have much faith in me in the first place. So it was just like, And then another thing is also that I was recouped, which had a lot to do with management. They weren't smart enough to know that you have to have the record company. You have to owe the record company for them to want to keep you. If you're all paid up, they don't mind letting you go. Because they know that the catalog that you have left them with, they're going to make money on that down the line. So what should have happened is, once we renegotiated it again, we should have taken a couple of millions off them. That way now they have to work really hard to recoup that back. I think the management at that time felt like, okay, we recouped, we know them. We're fine. But then, at that point, they don't have to keep you. They're making money anyway. And, it's part of being with people who are not professionals and management who are not smart, in managing. You got to know how to hold your cards and play your cards and leverage your artists and, do all of that.
Hot Shot, your biggest album.
Yeah.
How was that? And I think I saw in an interview you said 11 people bought homes after you released
Absolutely. That? When we started doing that album, I did that in my little apartment. I wrote most of that album in my little apartment in Kingston. Sat there every day and we cooked porridge and eat beef patties and wrote songs. And out of that came Angel and Wasn't Me and those records. And we ended up, promoting, making our genre huge, Stop the World and Let People Take Notice. Sold huge copies. We sold Diamond, and it was 11 people who were there. They all bought homes and started their lives because of what it is. One of my proudest accomplishments to this day. Now, I don't talk to any of them, 11 people now. They're full of shit, but but I could tell you one thing: they can't go through their life without mentioning me.
I love it. Obviously that album featured It Wasn't Me. It went number 1 on Billboard. Did that come from the Eddie Murphy comedy routine from Raw, the movie Raw?
That's where I got it. I watched Raw. I was a big fan of Eddie Murphy.
Wow.
He did that joke about It Wasn't Me. And I thought it was, But the thing about It Wasn't Me is that the subject matter is so relatable. It's either you're banging, somebody's banging, or you wish you're banging. Some banging going on. Don't worry about her. That's how she got here, banging. They're covering my daughter's ear.
I'm dead. I love it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Man, did you ever have a conversation with Eddie Murphy about that?
I did. I was with Eddie Murphy in Bahamas. Him and I think it was Audie Murphy. Yeah, I think they were. He was doing a show. Him and his brother. Yeah, and he was at his brother's show, and I saw him. We were in the VIP together, and I came over and told him the story, and he was like, you owe me royalties. But he was real cool about it, man.
That's funny. I'm like, was he a little bit serious?
Nah. He was just fun.
Okay.
He was, it's really cool.
That's funny. 5 times platinum worldwide. How was, you can't go, you can't
actually
talk to
10
anyone.
times platinum worldwide. 5 times.
Oh, right.
5 times in the United States, but
Oh, okay. Wow. Because you can't talk to someone who knows music without them knowing It Wasn't Me by Shaggy. Like that's monumental.
Yeah, that's good. That's it. It's great. We were just coming here about music and making music that's timeless music and music that will, I tour a lot with Sting and I see one of his biggest songs every night to this night is Roxanne, which was his first hit. And it's amazing how timeless that record is, and even Every Breath You Take or any of these other records that he has written. And I'm blessed to have had some of these massive hits myself.
For sure. I think I saw another interview where you were saying, you're a vessel and, this was meant to be, you were meant to create this. Talk about your spirituality and like, what are your beliefs?
I think what I was trying to say in that is that people always say that you wrote all these really big hits. And I said, I don't write any of them. There's a bigger being that is a vessel through me to write that. I can't come up with something as genius as It Wasn't Me. That's a higher being. That's just some ordained shit, That's, I don't take that for granted at all. And if it was I've recounted my steps that day, and still can't come up with another Wasn't Me like that. I'm saying those are magic moments, Those are moments that are, spiritually funneled through you, man, to create life-changing music, and I say life-changing because it changed a lot of people's lives.
Right. That's beautiful. And then the female artist Lady Saw did an answer record to It Wasn't Me called Son of a Bitch.
Yeah. I wrote that, by the way, so.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote it and brought her on it and recorded her and everything. The answer to it.
How did you put yourself in the female shoes?
I do that all day.
Oh, okay.
I write a lot of songs for a lot of people, but a lot of people don't know that.
Right.
In reggae and pop and dancehall and all that.
The album also featured Angel, which also went number 1 on Billboard.
Yeah.
Man, you are just a man of hits, huh?
Well, I try. I'm a vessel. I'm a vessel. No, I'm blessed, man. It's a blessing to, just to be granted one of those is amazing, And so I don't take any of it for granted. I don't take any. I know how hard it is to get a hit, and especially in the genre that I am, which is a very hard genre to even get heard. So I don't take any of it for granted.
How was it when you found out you are the only living reggae artist that is certified diamond, 10 times platinum, sold over 40 million records?
It's a great, it's a great thing to add to my resume. Yeah. It's, diamond is a big deal. The only other diamond seller is Bob Marley, but I'm the only one alive in regular dancehall. So it's great, man. It's I'm just happy to still be able to tour and do music and still be relevant, at this point.
And just Bob Marley being one of your biggest influences, how does it feel to be on par with the legendary?
Bob was a guy that, it's funny enough, I was talking about this in an interview earlier, where a lot of people criticize me for doing music that's a little bit outside the box, and they used to call him and said he does these kind of hybrid style of reggae. It's funny enough that Bob Marley used to get session musicians to come in and overdub on the Wailers' music, and they used to criticize him because they would call it watered down reggae or whatever it is, and which is so ironic that now after his death, those very recordings are now the blueprint of what the standard of what reggae music is, and so-called true reggae music. Every type of music is hybrid. Every type of music takes from something else to make something, and so I think we have that in common.
That's beautiful. 2001. Well, real quick, why didn't Hot Shot get nominated for a Grammy? I know one of the songs did.
It didn't get nominated for a Grammy because I had a manager that was an idiot, and you're supposed to literally submit that album by the latest September the 24th is the date that album should be submitted to be qualified.
Damn, that's the reason?
Yeah, so he dropped the ball. And because the record came out and he just didn't know. It's just idiot, The record company should have caught it and the manager should have made sure the record company caught it. And that's why he's fired today.
Man. Okay, so 2001, you were selected to perform at Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary. How was that moment? I know you performed Angel and It Wasn't Me.
I got a call from Michael, who introduced us, who invited me, I should say, to the 30th anniversary and told me that It Wasn't Me was his favorite song. And if I would come and perform it for him. And
Michael called you?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, we had a brief little conversation and it was kind of cool. And then funny enough, Michael Jackson asked me if he says, "Did you write that song?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, it sounds like something I would write." And I was like, wow. Michael Jackson singing, banging on the bathroom floor. As a matter of fact, I think if you go on YouTube and there's a clip on YouTube where I'm singing It Wasn't Me and I stopped and I said, "I heard that's your favorite record." I said, "You are the original banger." And he was like, "Thank you." But he's what I liked about Michael Jackson is that he knew everything about me. He's one of those guys that you realize that if you're the top guy in the game, whatever genre, he studies you. And he studied everything. He knew all the songs on the record. He knew, a lot of things about them, where they were recorded, what studios, the mix, everything.
What?
Yeah, he was that kind of guy. He really paid attention to detail.
Did you share the same sentiments with him, or you
Oh, I
had
knew
the same
everything about
respect for
Michael.
him?
I was a big Michael Jackson fan. I was just happy to even be in. I was just amazed he knew my name. And that's how I feel about everybody I've met throughout my journey. It's crazy. Like when I met Stevie Wonder, to know that Stevie Wonder knew who Shaggy was what blew my mind.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
James Brown. And James Brown was such a big Shaggy fan. Or the Queen. Or recently the Pope. I think that these people knew my name. Yeah, I'm a little kid from out of Raytown, Kingston. So I'm in awe. When I'm in those situations.
Definitely. And how did you feel when he passed away?
I was in Jamaica when he passed away. I was at a place called Strawberry Hills. This is Chris Blackwell's house, one of his properties, hotel down there, and it was shocking, to say the least.
Man. That following year, Hey Sexy Lady.
Mm-hmm. We followed up with Hey Sexy Lady on his album called what was it? It was Hot Shot. It was a while ago.
Lucky
Lucky
Day.
Day. Lucky Day was that album. Yeah. And we did a single called Hey Sexy Lady. That came out and did pretty decent. It wasn't the single I wanted, but hey, that's part of the journey of record company life.
I know it went gold, but was there disappointment that it didn't match the success of Hot Shot?
Absolutely. There was a lot of things that was factoring at the time. Right as the record came out, they shut the record company down and fired the president, called Jay Boberg. So at that point, we had no record company. Nobody to give us budgets, nothing at all. So it was really unfortunate that happened. And at that time, there was a guy that was running International called Martin Kirzenbaum. And we had just been turned over to Interscope, and he just kind of worked the record. And so we had an international hit with a couple of the songs. So we were in top 5 in every country around the world except America, where we didn't have a record company. And Martin Kirzenbaum is my current manager. But at that time, he was just a record executive that believed in me enough to at least try and market my album, and got some hits. And he manages me and my brother Sting at this point.
Wow. Definitely want to touch on Sting. What blows my mind is that I think your manager was his A&R, right?
Yeah.
Do I have that right?
Yeah.
At Interscope.
Well, we have the same manager, but he was also both of us A&Rs. So he knows us very well. And he just thought that we would get along very well together. So he made an introduction, and he wasn't wrong. We connected in a big way.
How was it helping Sting with his reggae album?
It was good to do that album. It initially was just supposed to be a Sting reggae album. And, I convinced Sting to actually use a lot of my people to do it, which he agreed. We started making the record out of New York. And, by the time he turned around, I was on like 6 songs. And I was like, well, you got to take me off some of these songs. And Sting is like, well, I don't want to take any of them off because I like them all. And I said, well, you can't have an album with 6 songs with me. And it's like, why don't we do it together? And that's how we ended up doing the album together. We ended up calling it 44876. He's from England, so it's 44876 is the Jamaican era code from England to Jamaica. And
wow,
we put it out, and we ended up selling gold and ended up touring together. We had the second highest grossing tour that year, and we ended up winning a Grammy also with it. So it's a good year.
Right. I know, your guys' first single, Don't Make Me Wait, was just such a big moment. How was it teaming up with, obviously, one of the greatest singers of all time? You're one of the best reggae, that bond and that brotherhood. Like, you guys were doing interviews all over together. Like, how was that? I'm sure, yeah.
I mean, it was a
It's just a beautiful.
it was a good connection. It's a friendship that I didn't know I needed, a brotherhood I didn't know I needed. And we're currently very close. I was with him last week. We're now starting on a new project, which is a new album with him and I. He's producing an album for me called Come Fly With Me, which is the Frank Sinatra songbook.
I saw that,
Yes,
yeah.
in reggae. And him and I are doing that. That comes out on the 25th of May. And it's 10 songs from Frank Sinatra. And, Sting produced a record, did all my vocals. All my vocals on there was recorded by him. He arranged the record and picked the songs that I should have to do on it, and sequenced the record. He had a say in everything down to the artwork.
Wow. I was gonna say, were you jumping midair for that?
Yeah, it's we did a photo shoot, and he wanted that particular shot to be the album cover, and he's involved in every aspect of it. We actually have a live performance television interview, which he called me and says, "No, I think you should do these songs." I was gonna do 2 other songs, and he was insisting that I do these other 2 songs. So I'm very, very happy that he's that engaged, because he's a master at what he does, and I look up to him a lot.
For sure. If it's okay, can we get like an untold Sting story, maybe from back in the day that you haven't told, maybe a fondest memory?
Fond Sting. I can tell you one thing about Sting that no, but I don't think a lot of people know, that almost after every meal, he has to have vanilla ice cream.
Oh my God.
It is an obsession. So
funny.
I was in Kingston, and we were at a place called Screechy's. We're actually St. Catherine, but in Portmore, and we went to have fish and lobster, and we ate a lot of fish and lobster. And we're driving back, and he says to me, "Shaggy, do you know where I could get vanilla ice cream?" I'm in the middle of traffic. I'm all the way in St. Catherine. And I'm like, I got to go drive to this place called Devon House, to get ice cream. We ended up going over there and standing in the line to get this vanilla ice cream. And when you go in there, so Devon House is a place that got all these different flavors. It's a lot of exotic, they got Devon Stout ice cream. They got soursop ice cream. They got all these different type of ice cream. And then I'm standing in the line going in there, and they asked me, "Okay, so what do you want?" I said, "Vanilla." And the woman said, "Vanilla?" I'm like, "Yep, plain old vanilla." And
that's hilarious.
So that's his thing. He needs vanilla ice cream all the time.
Man. Before I found out you only worked at Baskin Robbins for a day, I was gonna ask what your flavor was.
As far as Baskin Robbins, I thought the what do you call it, the cheesecake.
Cheesecake? Okay.
Yeah. I like that. The strawberry cheesecake.
Right. Oh yeah, people love that.
Yeah, that's dope.
For sure.
Nowadays, there's Haagen-Dazs now. What do you call it? The Loche, wasn't it? Dulce de leche. My daughter put me onto that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Aw.
So it tastes like vomit.
No.
I love it. The album with Sting, you won your second Grammy. For
Yes,
Best
I did.
Reggae album.
Yeah.
So how did that feel? The second
Winning it, like I said, winning is always better. Winning is
For
always
sure.
better. It was good to be there. I ended up hosting the Grammy pre-show for the first time, and I ended up winning that night. And it was celebration all the way around. And the only sad part is I think Sting wasn't available at that time. He was doing his play. So it would have been cool if him and I were together and partying and just celebrating our win.
Definitely.
But nevertheless, I had a group of good friends around to share the moment with,
How was it working with Cardi B on Boom Boom?
including my daughter. Yes, I've seen it.
Aw, shout out to your daughter.
Yeah, hey, Cardi was cool, man. D Sonorum brought her to me. That's before she even had Bodak Yellow or anything like that. I knew her at that time because she was on Love and Hip Hop, and I always liked her because I thought she was funny. She was. I remember her watching it. I was watching for one of the episodes I caught on there, and I think they were asking why she wears her low cut boobs or boobs all the way. Always. She's like, I always show my boobs because he said I got crooked teeth. I don't want nobody to look at my crooked teeth, so I make sure they look at my titties. I just thought that it was fucking hilarious when I seen her. I was like, this girl is something else. And so I was a fan of her anyway. So when Deep brought it to me to do Boom Boom, he was like, yeah, it's this new artist, but I think she got thinking, and I listened to her. So yeah, we put her on the record and kind of put it out. We didn't have any distribution or anything like that, so it just kind of did what it did. We didn't get to do a video at the time either. So, but then right after that, she blew up, and I saw her a couple of times after that, and she was always, she never really forgot that. So that's kind of cool.
Aw, I love that. The following year, you had turned down an opportunity to collaborate with Rihanna on her album. You said you wanted to leave it to the younger guys. Why is that?
That wasn't the case.
Another.
That wasn't the case. But that was a big propaganda thing. Her management, Omar and them, kind of reached out to me to see if I would consider, doing some songs, and they wanted me to just kind of like write a bunch of songs and send in. And I said, for us to get the best thing, it would be best we be in the studio together and vibe, And
I respect that.
Yeah, and they were like, scheduling wise, it's a bit, difficult. So I just like, I'd rather apt out if I'm not going to do it that way. And that was the whole vibe of it, At that time, I knew a lot of people were doing. There's tons of people that were doing records for her, and I just figured for us to get something really special would be cool for us because I knew her anyway. Her and I did the touring circuit, promo circuit. I was in England with her. We did
Wow.
World Music Award together. We hung out, me, her, Akon, all of us. So,
Oh.
I was at one of the Grammys when she walked up behind me and I felt somebody cover my eyes. I'm like, who the hell is this? And I turned around, it was her. So it was cool anyway, it's just for us to just get in there and just cook up something that was amazing. And, scheduling wise, it wouldn't have worked. So I was like, nah, if I'm not going to do it the right way, I'd rather not.
Right. I respect that. Real quick, you mentioned Spice earlier. How was it working with her on Go Down Day with Sean Paul? How does it feel to have hit songs 30 years into your career?
It's great. Spice is a special person, man. Spice hollered at me to do a record. I started to research her, her catalog just to see the type of record I would be writing for her. I realized that she had a lot of big social media presence, but she didn't have a lot of streaming. And I told her I think she should have a body of work out, for all the songs that she had. And told me she had some problems at a record company. I went in and straightened that out and started to produce her album, and so I produced and co-wrote the album. And one of the songs, I had a song called Go Down Day that I had done. I played it for her. She loved it, and I put her on it. And then she called Sean Paul. He heard it and agreed to come on it. And And what was great about it is that, I needed her to come out of that deal with a solid hit record. And I wanted it to be a song that didn't have any international features. It was just us, as three local Jamaican artists on a song, to go global. And, it's been doing some great work. It came out a year ago and it's actually streaming more numbers now than when it just came out. It's, blowing up in India and the Emirates, Turkey, all of these places overseas. And I'm just very, very happy for her.
That's beautiful. I love it. And yeah, obviously the Grammy again. People work their whole lives to get one Grammy, right? You know that, right?
Well, she was nominated. It was really good for her to get that experience. I was there with her throughout the whole thing. I was at the awards show with her. We went through the whole thing, and I'm just happy that she experienced it.
Forgot to mention first female artist to be nominated in Best Reggae category.
Well, I don't think she's the first female. I think she's the first hardcore female.
Oh, okay.
There've been females that have that are reggae females.
Right.
Itana was one of them. Of course, Coffee won the year before. But as far as a hardcore dancehall artist, female, yeah, she's the first to have done that.
Got it. And then this year you released Me No.
I like how you pronounce that. Me No.
I know what.
Me No No.
Me No. I didn't want to butcher it. I know. Yeah. How was the whole ordeal with Ika Mouse?
Ika Mouse is a legendary artist. He was one of the best artists in the 80s. That song was such a massive, massive song in the 80s, popular. Ika Mouse and I used to live in the same yard, funny enough. Back in the days. I was a kid.
How?
I was a kid at that time, and he used to be downstairs, and my grandmother and my mom and me used to be upstairs, and it was a big deal when his record blew up, and I'm in the studio and I'm vibing this beat, and that hook kind of came to my head, and I just wanted to go on there and talk some shit, so I did, and we obviously cleared the record with VP Records, who handles the publishing for Ika Mouse and Junja Laws, and it was really cool, and it's good to know that we could put that record out and that it's doing so great.
Right, that's beautiful. I think you went on. You were asked in an interview if you were stuck on a deserted island and given choice of two albums on your iPad, you said it would be The Chronic by Dr. Dre and Kaya by Bob Marley. Why those two albums?
Well, Chronic is just a classic. It was a hip hop classic, and it was in my era. It was your go-to. Both The Chronic and The Chronic 2001. Great. Kaya is one of my favorite Bob Marley albums anyway. And Bob Marley is one of the few artists I could think where there's no Bob Marley song you don't like. He's not many artists you have that you'd be like, oh, I don't like this song. Bob Marley, you kind of like every Bob Marley song.
Definitely. I think you also said one of your highlights of your life was meeting James Brown.
Yeah. Because James Brown was such a fan. He would come and watch me at the side of the stage every night, and then came in and gave me an incredible amount of pep talk. He also adored my wife. He thought my wife was just like the greatest thing in the world.
Aww. That's awesome. Want to definitely touch on this. You raised $1 million for the Bustamante Hospital for Children, the only children's hospital in the English-speaking nations of the Caribbean, through your charity Shaggy and Friends. Beyond all the music and accolades, this has to be the most meaningful
Very much
part of it all.
Very much one of the most rewarding. A lot of it was done out of impulse. There was this young kid that her name is Peach. She had a bullet stuck in her head, and just based on that, I just reacted and decided I'm going to start doing concerts to raise money. And then a friend of mine, William Mafood, who his family run Food for the Poor, which is one of the world's largest charities, told me that I cannot just give money to a hospital like that. I have to, if I'm going to just raise money, the only way I could do that is to create a foundation. And that's when we decided to create the Shaggy Make a Difference Foundation. Because that's the only way I could give the money to them without being penalized, I guess. But before that, I had made donations to the hospital for 9 years straight out of pocket. So.
Wow.
It's great.
Can you bring us back to when Prince of England came to visit?
Oh, yeah.
I think your daughter was there, right? Or
Yeah. She flipped him the bird. She was unimpressed. I literally took her there.
I'd be impressed now.
Yeah, well, I took her there.
She said she's impressed now.
She would be impressed now, she says. I took her there to because it was a big frenzy, the prince is coming.
Yeah, that's huge.
So
that's big.
I took her out of school today because I knew I was one of the invited guests to meet the prince. And I said, I'm going to bring her in. I brought her in and I said, hey, this is my daughter. And she just looked at him and and he says, out of his mouth, I remember, and says, I've never met someone so unimpressed in my life.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, wow. And I was like, God, you just embarrassed me. But I think at that point, she was so young, she's thinking of the prince like when she watches the Disney and she saw the prince on the horse and all of that. And then she seen this ginger guy come up to her. Wasn't the image that she was looking for, So.
That's funny.
Yeah. She turned down the prince. Damn.
I love it. You said, I think, talk about real quick playing at Queen's 92nd birthday party.
It was great. I played with Sting. I didn't know it was that big of a deal until I was doing it, because then I realized there weren't a lot of Caribbean people that was ever invited to perform for the Queen on her Jubilee, so that was a big deal. I didn't know it at the time until the newspaper started to write about it. It was like, okay, this is the first time that a Caribbean person is, performing for the Queen, and we had the opportunity to meet the Queen, and again, these people knew who the hell I am, so yeah.
That's incredible.
It was a good vibe.
Man.
And it was good to do it with Sting, because Sting was there with me, so it was great.
For sure. Man, well, before we wrap, do you have any goals, any aspirations at this point? I'm sure, you've got...
I just want to be able to do things that excite me and things to move my culture forward and move my genre forward. And I'm very, very happy. I don't take it for granted that I'm still, being able to do music and still have some relevancy. And, hey, all we could do right now in these COVID times that we're living in, try our best to at least, enjoy ourselves. And that's it.
Definitely. I love it. And is there, if there's one thing you want fans to take away from your new album, what would that be?
My new album comes out on the 25th, and that's the Sinatra and Sting, Shaggy Sings Sinatra songbook produced by Sting. And all I want them to do is pop that in, light up one, and just listen to that music and enjoy themselves and put yourself in a good mood. That is my job.
I love it. I love it. Man, well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being so cool. You're a legend, forever a legend.
I like how you say that I'm cool, And you say that louder so that my 17-year-old over here could actually hear that coming at. I'm cool.
Yeah, not everyone's cool in the music industry, so you just gotta appreciate the real ones,
Thank you very much. I appreciate your love.
Of course, man. Thank you. You're always welcome back to VladTV. We're a fan over here.
All right. Much love. Thank you.
Much love. And let me know when you come to LA. Would love
Yes.
to link in person.
LA, yes, anytime. I love LA. That's one of my favorite places too. I mean, besides of the earthquake and mudslides and shortage of water and high electricity bill and
Oh, man.
high volume of homeless and
Right.
high taxes.
Man.
But great weather.
I mean,
I give you that. Great
Right.
weather. Great weather.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like
Shitty
everyone's
traffic,
moving
but
to
great
Miami.
weather.
Right. I feel like everyone's moving to Miami anyway, so you're good.
Come on down.
All right.
That's right. Place of the land of no COVID.
I'm dead.
No
Thank
state
you,
tax.
Shaggy.
You know what I'm saying? Homestead exemption. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Palm trees, sunshine, beaches.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Cuban
love it.
coffee.
Man,
Habibi's
I
over
love
there.
it. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you.
Pleasure, my pleasure, my darling. All the best. All right. Oh,
Have a great rest of your day.
bye.